The latest Pompey news, updates every day from the Pompey Sound news desk.
Former Portsmouth midfielder Gareth Evans believes it was inevitable Pompey's loan signing Connor Chaplin would return to the club. Chaplin came through the Portsmouth Academy to play for the first team when he turned 18. Evans and Chaplin played alongside each other during the latter's first stint at Fratton Park, before the forward left for Coventry in 2019. "I knew he was going to come back to the football club at some point," Evans told BBC Radio. "The only surprise is that he's come back so soon after leaving. You expected him to come back at the latter end of his career. It's a massive bonus for Portsmouth that they've got a Connor Chaplin who's in the prime of his career. He's scored everywhere that he's been, and he's got that infectious personality that adds a little bit extra to the dressing room. To retain their championship status and then top up the squad like John Messineo has done in this transfer window, with the numbers he's got in and the quality of player he's got in, who's to say Portsmouth can't aim for a mid-table finish?" Next up for Pompey is a South Coast derby at St Mary's against Southampton on the 14th of September. It's a rivalry which will be reignited in a league game for the first time in 13 years. "I'm a little bit jealous not to be involved. It's going to be a fantastic occasion," said Evans. "It's something to savour, and hopefully Portsmouth can pick up all 3 points." Southampton have not beaten Portsmouth in a league game since 2004, and Evans is predicting that run will continue. "I'll go for 1-0 Pompey, Connor Chaplin to score of course," he added.
Yeah, he makes a good point, doesn't he? There does seem to be a sort of a career arc in the footballer's journey, particularly the footballer that started his career at Pompey, which is that if it's possible, if everybody's happy, they make their way back here in what some people would call the twilight of their career. I'm not sure whether Marlon Pack would be happy to digest that description. Perhaps it doesn't apply to him quite. And John Swift is still only 30. Matt Ritchie it certainly applies to. It turns out not to be the twilight of his career coming back to Pompey, because he's going to have another twilight and maybe another twilight beyond that at Reading. But it does seem to be some sort of a career arc. One wonders whether other clubs have a glut of players that they found that played for them and then went off and kind of made their fortune elsewhere, but find themselves, are they drawn back, or are we drawn to them, or is it a bit of both? Is it the money? The money's got to be right, but there's something about Portsmouth that makes people want to come, players want to come home. And that is an extremely valuable personality trait in a club, that people who have started with us, many people who have started with us, they want to not necessarily end it with us, but experience once again the thing that we at Pompey tend to feel is unique and special about us. I think Mick Robertson will often tell you that he sees similarities between the enormous sense of family ties that Portsmouth have and Liverpool FC. And he knows his stuff. He's been around the block plenty of times, and he keeps his senses sharpened and his wits about him, and he notices things. And he says that there is something at Fratton Park and Anfield which has a certain similarity. There's a sentimentality and there's a bonding. There is a kind of a family or neighbourhood feel about it. Anyway, long story short, Chaplin is back. He makes his debut surely at midday in what's going to be the biggest game Pompey have had for a long time. And there he is, surely, at the heart of it. You couldn't make it up. Brilliant. Connor Chaplin on what the Southampton derby means to him personally.
"I can't wait. It's going to be a great occasion. I'm really excited for that, and it's incredible for the football club and the fans to experience it in a league game. I think it's going to be a special occasion. I've had some good times, some really good times against Southampton. Hopefully I can add to that as well. I'm definitely looking to do more of that. It's really good, really positive. 4 games and 7 points is a really good start to the league. I think it's a real tough league this year. Big challenges in every single game, and different challenges in every game in terms of style of football, and things you can't control as well. So it's been really good, and that's a good foundation to go into the break with, and then go again when we get back."
What's really healthy there is that it sounds as though he felt that playing against Southampton, even if he wasn't in our blue shirt, still beating them meant a lot to him. Because we have to remember that he is a dyed-in-the-wool Pompey fan, as well as now, at the moment, well, he's not a dyed-in-the-wool Pompey player because he's only here on loan. But it sounds as though he knows where his heart is, and his heart is here. And his big heart is going to be even bigger on the day of the derby, because it's his chance to put a nail in the team that he, like all Pompey fans, like all football fans actually, you know who your team is, and you know the team that you want to do badly, the enemy, your derby nemesis, and he feels that, and that isn't something you can choose. You either grow up learning that that is how you genuinely feel deep down, and he does, or it never touches you, and you don't know how delicious that feeling is. So when we watch him, either because we're there, or because we're able to watch it on a screen, or because we're able to watch highlights, or indeed the entire match afterwards on our device, when we see him, we will be seeing a player who would he'd be playing that game for nothing. He'd be playing that game for the love of it. Not just the love of football, the love of beating your arch, I'm going to say enemy, I don't mean that in a pugilistic way, of course, your rival. Beating your big rival for bragging rights. And like I said, I think he'd pay to do it. I think he'd pay to run out onto that pitch, St Mary's, knowing what it means to the fans. And of course, he is one of the fans. And you could just picture him on his... if he ever had to miss a game for whatever reason, say he got suspended, I wouldn't put it past him going and watching the game with the faithful. He's that much of a Pompey fan. John Messino, when asked, is Luke LaRue pressing for a starting spot?
There's plenty of lads who've really impressed. And we want to encourage that stiff competition. We were pretty good against West Brom, but there's always tight calls, even when we win games. So when we win and have good performances, we still look at the selection off the back of that. Luke was a consideration. He was definitely a consideration against Preston. He impressed against West Brom and looked very solid when coming on last weekend. Everyone in the squad is close to starting depending on the game, like Luke is.
John Messino is starting to increasingly make the point that he wants a squad of players, all of whom are viable as starting picks. He wants each of them to feel as though every Thursday or whenever it is he announces the team, that their name could be one of the 11 who is going to be starting. It retains that kudos. It's what a player wants to be in the starting 11. A player will be happy to come on after 60 minutes. They'll get a full 38 minutes on the pitch. Happy, but not as happy as if they'd been given the shirt to start in and not have to put a tracksuit top on over it and something to disguise the rest of their kit if they're going to go running up and down the touchline warming up, which I don't think many of them really want to do, and often do, it seems to me, quite half-heartedly, but we'll come to that another time. Is Luke LaRue pressing for a starting place? John Messino wants him to be feeling that, wants him to be pushing for that, wants him to genuinely believe that he's very, very close to being a starter. But who's going to replace? And has the arrival of Luke LaRue provoked Andre Dozzell to being an even better player? And by the way, just as a side swipe, where are the people who complained when we brought Dozzell in that he was a QPR reject? Couldn't even get in the side of a side that is basically pretty hopeless, QPR at the time. Where are they now? Because Andre Dozzell, actually, you struggled to get the shirt off him, wouldn't you? And ditto his partner at the moment, who is playing that role because Marlon Pack is recovering and will be back available for selection and looking for a starting place soon. John Swift is also putting in some pretty good performances, isn't he? So if they're going to start LaRue, where are they going to start him? Who's going to be on the bench who doesn't want to be on the bench and perhaps also, more importantly, doesn't deserve to be on the bench? So it's a good question. Is LaRue getting close to a starting place? And the reply is even better. I want them all to be.